guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a drawing sign-up kind of thing. I think I've been wanting to do this video for a year. I just felt a little bit artistic today because as you can see in my makeup, I don't know if I like it or not, but I'm just gonna roll with it. I felt like maybe I should try this out today, but I am really scared, so just bear with me. So basically, I found some old drawings. This is a drawing from probably, it says like, to dad in the corner, so I must have been like a kid. Maybe I was like 5, 4, but I found it and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought maybe I'd redraw it and make it into something that is actually a little bit cooler. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using, I don't know what this type of painting is called. I'm going to research it and I'm going to put in a corner. But I basically want to do a canvas drawing of this, and I'm really scared of doing it because I haven't been drawing with this type of material for a really long time, and I'm kind of scared to get back to using it and like scared that I'm not going to know what to do with it and just going to be like handicapped. But I thought I'd film it, share this journey with you guys because I haven't drawn for a long time, and I hope we're going to have fun today. So let's just get started. So here I have the drawing, and I also done some sketching to try to make it like look a little bit more professional, but I don't know how well I did. And this is the canvas that I'm going to be using. It's quite small, so I did kind of like a sketch of how big I want things to be on here. I think I'm going to make the robot a little bit bigger, and also on my computer I have a reference picture for the galaxy, a reference picture for the moon, and a reference picture for the lifesaver. I've also got my acrylic paint and paper plates and loads of brushes. So I took some art classes last year, so I kind of know what I'm doing, but it's still been a really long time, so I am kind of rusty. But something I do like to do that I've seen a lot of people don't do is that I like to do layering. So I always start with covering the background with one color, and then I just add layer upon layer, which makes it much easier to slowly build something up instead of knowing exactly what color you're gonna have from the start. It kind of gets composed as I go along, which I really enjoy doing, and I like seeing the change, and that's something I really appreciate about the fast forwarding of this video. So essentially I ended up calling this painting in context, and the very simple explanation to such a broad name is actually that I took a painting or a drawing that I've done before and I put it into a context and kind of changed the context of the actual picture. So from before, the robot is kind of sad and he looks kind of lost, and there's also this huge vacuum of white space around him. So I decided to put him into a context of a nebula in the middle, and I find nebulas and space to be deeply fascinating even though I don't know much about it, and I also find it to be quite scary, so I can't actually watch movies about space or documentaries that way because it just simply creeps me out a little bit. But upon making this painting, I also did research a little bit about nebulas and what they are and stuff, and even though it's really interesting and I'd love to explain it to you guys, I'll leave a link below that kind of explains what it is because they're so beautiful and the information that I found on there is just deeply fascinating. I just find it to be really incredible how the same act of something happening in space can lead to so many different optical versions of the same thing happening, and it's really cool just to look at different outcomes of the same thing occurring in space. For the basics though, basically nebula means cloud in Latin, and so what a nebula is just this cloud in space. Just like a cloud on Earth, it is also kind of diluted, and it has this cloudy feel to it, if that kind of makes a sense. So it's really hard to draw because there's always space in between all the colors. Like, imagine if a cloud was composed of like 100 colors and then you were supposed to draw it. That's how I felt when I was drawing this nebula. But I did really have so much fun doing this painting. What's so great about acrylics is that you can do layers on layers and it still covers a fair amount of what's underneath. It works similarly to oil painting in the way that it's easy to work with when doing layering because it's so thick and has a high coverage. And that's also why I have such a hard time drawing with watercolors because I like to do layering and it just doesn't work with watercolors. Acrylics is also so great because it dries super quickly and it doesn't blend if you don't want it to, but it can. My style of painting is very unrefined. I don't really do smooth surfaces and color changes and that kind of thing. I like to work with like dots and stuff, and when I paint it just always becomes this sort of patchy style, and I guess it's just kind of the way I paint. So ultimately my paintings are never going to be super realistic, but it doesn't mean that they're not gonna be cool looking in the end. So getting back to the idea of this painting, basically what I imagine is that, you know, the reason I find space to be so scary is because I don't know much about it. It's the unknown and it's massive and it's huge and it's out there. But in this painting, all there really is a character that's standing on a moon or a planet or something, and there's a cloud over it. So I imagine that, you know, if we're standing on Earth and there's just a picture of a human on a mountain and then you can see the sky with a cloud in it, this picture would kind of be like a science fiction version of that, of something that could be out in space, like a correlation of the context of a picture that you might have seen a million times. This could be like an alternate reality. Maybe I'm just mumbling, but I find that idea to be kind of cool. So in the actual picture of the nebula, there's like a bazillion stars, and often stars are actually born in a nebula or something like that, and that's why there's so many stars in the actual picture, and I find it hard to kind of just create that in this, but I try to use the ends of a paper clip and also the other end of my pencil, but I kind of didn't exactly get the effect that I wish I would. I mean, I'm quite pleased with the way the picture looked right now, and I could have just left it, but it kind of would not serve its purpose of being what I wanted it to be. And so the robot is kind of the whole point of the picture, and it creates something about the picture that makes it much more unique and kind of funny, and I just love that element of it, even though it doesn't look as professional. I found the actual robot so incredibly difficult to make because I didn't actually have any good pencils for making such detailed character. That's why I also ended up doing like line work around it at the end to make it kind of separate from the nebula, because it ended up having kind of the similar colors that I didn't actually think about before, but hopefully it kind of worked out anyways, even though the line work is kind of weird. I did change the face of the actual robot because I thought before that it looked kind of sad and it just looked out of place, and I just don't really know what happened, but I decided to change the face and make it look a little bit more surprised or curious in a way. If you want an explanation for the lightsaber, there really isn't anyone. Also, I kind of did some shading on the body of the robot, and I did this, and then I thought, like later I'm gonna say in the video that there's no shadow of the moon, and I realized that it's kind of weird that the robot has a shadow on the body, but there's no shadow on the moon, and that's why it looks weird. So I thought maybe the explanation for this is that the light on the body is from the lightsaber, so that's what kind of reflects. It doesn't really reach all the way to the ground. I really don't know if that even makes any sense. I had loads of fun making this, and I definitely will be practicing doing other nebula-ish stuff and maybe doing some abstract work with like different types of nebulas and kind of incorporating different elements of like something floating in of it and something, you know, you don't really notice first time you look at it. So I was really inspired by my own work, which sounds kind of egoistical, but I don't know, it was so much fun that I was inspired of the whole process, really. So guys, now I am done with my painting. I actually kind of like the way it turned out. Like, I'm not amazing at light painting, and considering that, I think it turned out pretty good. Like, it's actually really hard to draw like a nebula. Like, I don't know how people do it. Like, because when I do it, it just becomes like super dotty and stuff. I think it turned out pretty cute. I kind of like the fact that there's like this almost like cartoonish robot in like a picture that would have been perfectly fine the way it was. It's very me, like I like that about it. I am also kind of surprised at how well it went because I haven't been painting for so long, and it was just fun like sitting down and like doing a little bit about it. But the only thing like I would have changed, like the stars look like it's snow, which is so weird. And also like the robot doesn't have a shadow where it's standing because, well, there's not really a sun. And it looks kind of like it's floating, which is weird, but I don't really know what to do about it because there's no sun. This is before and this is after. I hope you guys all have a great day. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Bye!